Here's the 0-0 to Montgomery. First pitch, he's
Wanna hug you, took it back in the face. You see what you got me out here doing? Might have threw me off, but can't nobody stop the movement. Let's go. Left foot, right foot, levitate. Pop stars, do a leap with the man. I had to lace my shoes for all the blessings I was chasing. If I ever slip, I fall into a better situation. So catch up, go put some cheese on it. Get out and get your bread up. They always leave me, but you run together. Weight of the world on my shoulders, I get my head up. Now baby, stand up, cause girl, you want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo, I'm levitating. The Milky Way, we're ready to get it. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
Don't accidentally yes.
There's a perfect game thrown on this day. My dad's great.
would you love me if you know the places that I've been? If you know the damage that I did? Would you love me less? No, 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 no. I got so much more to complete. Closets full of skeletons that you don't wanna see. Recharge me, I'm ugly. I won't blame you if you do. No lies, don't wanna keep no secrets. Even if what I'ma say will be speechless. No secrets. If I introduce you to my demons, baby, would you love us? If you know the places that I've been, if you know the damage that I did, would you love me less? No, 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 no. Would you love me less? If I had a dollar for my sins, if you know the things that I've been in, would you love me less? No, 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 no. I'm happy you never saw me in college. Blood on my hands, I'll be used to acknowledge. That's why I get lightheaded and wasted. I'm treading soft conversations and I bet my skin's funny. She doesn't like my list of exes. I've had it all. She's bugging and sounding childish like a xylophone. He's bugging, hearing that falsetto that's in the tone. If I introduce you to my demons, tell me, baby, would you love me less? If you know the places that I've been,
That means
if you know the damage that I did, would you love me less? No, 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 would you love me less? If I had a dollar for my sins,
Jim Bottom.
if you know the places that I've been, would you love me less?
Just kept going and he tagged. That's how that happened. And he said,
I get up, I get down, and I'm jumping around. And the rumpus and ruckus are comfortable now. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm thinking it's time to grow. So I got an apartment across from the park. Looking off in my fridge, still I'm not feeling right. Been a hell of a ride, but I'm thinking it's time to go.
Because I was chasing him out west when I played South High School playoff. Yeah. I used to skate loaded with no outs. The coach from West Shore comes out and he goes, cut it. And the shortstop says no. He says cut it. He's like, no, I'm playing middle back. Shortstop literally argues with him to play the middle back. Instead of playing defense in the base two or no outs, he decided to play the corner stance in the one and the middle guy's back to prevent the big hit. Because that's why you would do it. Kid hits him, pissed me so bad. Catches it, touches second, after arguing with his coach and saying, I want to play back. But it was incredible. It was a playoff. Got out of the base and won it. What is this guy's name? Is he the big? Is this the big guy? Is he the first base coach? Yeah. He's up there.
Everybody pretend you know this song. Everybody come hang. Let's go out with a bang.
that's Stompmeyer? Oh, then it's a rotation.
Good morning and welcome to Joe Etzel Field for today's West Coast Conference baseball game between the Pepperdine Waves and your University of Portland Pilots. Here's the lineup for the visitors from Malibu, California, the Pepperdine Waves. Leading off at shortstop, number 2, Wyatt Young. Batting second in center field, number 23, Billy Cook. Batting third at third base, number 8, Aaron Modlin. Batting fourth at second base, number 6, John Peck. Batting fifth at first base, number 34, Justin Lutz. Batting sixth, the right fielder, number 15, Ryan Johnson. Batting seventh, the designated hitter, number 44, Connor Bradshaw. Batting eighth in left field, number 11, Quint Landis. And batting ninth and catching, number 22, Joe Caparis. Starting today for the Waves on the mound is number 14, Brandon Llewellyn.
Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out.
And now here's the starting lineup for your Portland Pilots. Leading off the shortstop, number 2, Chad Stevens. Second at third base, number 11, Ben Lataxel. Hitting third, the left fielder, number 4, Jake Holbrook. Batting fourth in center field, number 14, Riley Knight. Batting fifth at first base, number 17, Sam Brown. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 8, Greg Gillis. Batting seventh at second base, number 22, Jake Sukata. Hitting and catching, number 13, Nick West. And batting ninth in right field, number 1, James Squirrel. The starting pitcher for the Pilots today is number 26, Bradley McVeigh. Fans, please stand and direct your attention to the flag in center field for the playing of the national anthem.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Bluff in Portland, Oregon for today's rubber match series finale between the Portland Pilots and the Pepperdine Waves. These two teams have both proven their toughness, taking a game from each other, but the Pilots will have a chip on their shoulder after their tough loss yesterday in the late innings and look to get back to 500. I'm Brian Slyke. I'm joined by Corey Kier, and we want to wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day from our booth to your home, and thank you for joining us. Corey, we saw two games basically yesterday. Brett Gillis had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning, and then the Waves bats came alive for 3 runs in the 7th, 4 in the 8th, and they ended up winning 7-5. What can we expect in today's game?
Well, I'm still in a little bit of shock. I was looking at the stat line of Gillis yesterday, and I mean, he had almost a perfect game going and then gave up 3 hits, and unfortunately it was bomb, bomb, bomb. So still trying to recover from that. Again, it's going to be pitching versus hitting. And again, we're here in batting practice watching the Pepperdine Waves hit a lot of balls out of the ballpark. So it's important to keep the ball, for McVeigh to keep the ball down and to play defense and score some runs and try to get it far enough ahead of these guys.
Speaking of McVeigh, that's the man on the mound for the Portland Pilots. It's going to be Brad McVeigh, currently 4th best ERA in the West Coast Conference at a 2.98 clip. He's 5-2 on the year, making his 9th start, 11th appearance, with just under 49 innings to his name, 16 earned runs, 52 strikeouts, and opponents are hitting .224 against him here, missing high on the first pitch fastball. It'll be 1-0. The batting order for the Waves, it'll be Wyatt Young, who's up at the plate now, Billy Cook, Aaron Modlin, John Peck, Justin Lutz, followed by Ryan Johnson, Connor Bradshaw, Quint Landis, and Joe Caparis for the Waves. Here's a ground ball to the right side. Sukata fields it on the second hop, and over to Brown for the first out here in the first inning.
The center fielder, number 23, Billy Cook.
Now up Billy Cook, and he has been a thorn in the side of this Pilots club to the tune of 4 home runs in the last 2 games. McVeigh firing fastball inside. It'll be 0-1.
I used to play this little video game called NBA Jams, and then it would go, he's on fire.
Oh, yeah.
This man right here, if he was in baseball jams, he's on fire.
You talked about that no-hitter that Gillis had yesterday through 6. He had the 12 strikeouts, no walks, and then that 7th inning came up. It was back-to-back home runs. He got a strikeout and then a 3rd home run, and Cook had one of those. Here's a drive down the left field line. It's going to be pulled foul, And on the other side of the hitting facility, almost hitting the dish over there. It'll be 1-2 on Cook.
Yeah, when Gillis got into the 7th inning yesterday, the 6th inning had a little bit of contact, and the ball was getting up a little bit, and I think that's what ended up happening is he got the ball a little, got tired and got the ball up a little bit, and this Pepperdine Wave, the middle of their order is, man, it's tough.
Yeah, 2 through 5 the last 2 days have really done a number on the Pilots. McVeigh with the 2-2 on Cook. Got him! Left the bat on the shoulder. He'll head back to the dugout. And that'll bring up Aron Modlin. Let's give you the defensive lineup for the Pilots out there. It's Jake Holcroft, Briley Knight, and Gabe Scoro starting the outfield from left to right. Ben Pataxel, Chad Stevens, Jake Sukata, and Sam Brown is your infield from third to first. And Nick Klemp getting the start behind the plate after having yesterday off. McVeigh missing low and inside. It'll be 1-0.
Yeah, going back to yesterday, I think that's one where, Coach Loomis goes out to talk to the squad, and you really just have to tip your hat to a pretty incredible offensive performance late in that game.
Yeah, for a team that had been shut down for 2/3 of that game up to that point, it's tough to have any momentum or positivity going, but like you just said, give it to the Waves. They kept themselves in it, stayed positive, and turned it around and got the W.
Well, and the Pilots did a lot of great things yesterday. They just couldn't score enough runs to stay ahead of these guys.
McVeigh's breaking ball falls in for a strike, 2-1. But that's something that's happened twice now. They had 14 hits through the first 4 innings in game 1, and then once they brought in, and by they I mean the Waves, brought in that second arm, it's second strike here, now 2-2. Shut down the bats for the Pilots. They only had 1 hit the rest of that game in game 1, and then in game 2, a similar situation. They managed to get 3 hits in the later innings, but for the most part, the offense went stagnant. The 2-2. Check swing. And the umpire saying he did not go around. Full count, 3-2. Mike Goebel, the home plate umpire. Mark Roberts over at first, and Joey Stegner is at third. Modlin got himself a home run, part of that 3-home run 7th inning. Here he gets himself on with a walk.
The second baseman, number 6, John Peck.
John Peck comes to the plate. Peck yesterday 1 for 4 with a single in the 8th. Otherwise, he struck out 3 times. McVeigh, part of the 50 strikeout club here for the Pilots. He's at 52, now 53 after that first strikeout here on the season. The freshman hits it up the middle. Chad Stevens will field it himself, step on the bag at second to get the force out. And that will end the first inning for the Waves. They strand one on. Nobody comes in to score. It's a 0-0 ball game. We head to the bottom of the first. It's Chad Stevens, Ben Pataxel, and Jake Holcroft set to lead things off for the Pilots. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field. 0-0 ball game as we're about to start the bottom of the first inning. Brandon Llewellyn is the man on the mound for the Waves this afternoon. 3-1 on the season, making his second start, 11th appearance. With a 2.73 ERA, 33 innings on the year. He's given up 10 earned runs on 24 hits, 32 strikeouts, and opponents are hitting just over 200 at 209 against him. We've seen the Pilots jump on the starting pitchers for this Waves club the last 2 days. We'll see if the Pilots can pick up where they left off as Chad Stevens comes to the plate. Last 2 games, he started off the Pilots half of the first inning with a hit. Fouls off the first pitch here as it rolls near the bullpen for the Pilots, 0-1. Junior from Fox Island, Washington, batting .325. Ranked in the top 15 in the conference in batting average this season. The 0-1 in their first strike, just above the knees inside. It's 0-2. Infield playing back for the Waves. The 0-2 off the far side of the plate. 1-2 for Stevens. With the Pilots' loss yesterday, they fall back down into 4th place in the conference at the moment. Stevens fouls this one off, and 2 all right out of play. Portland 12-8 in conference, 20-21 overall. They sit behind San Francisco, San Diego, and Gonzaga. The 1-2 chopped down the third baseline. Foul, though. Stevens will get another round. Llewellyn, a freshman from Colleyville, Texas. High fly ball into right field. Ryan Johnson towards the line, and he will make the catch. Stevens retired for the first out here in the first inning. Let's give you the lineup for the Pilots. Chad Stevens, you just saw leading things off. Ben Pataxo now up. Holcroft behind him. Briley Knight batting cleanup. Brown in the 5-hole. Gillis batting DH is batting 6. Sukata, Klemp, and then Scoro at the bottom of the lineup, getting another start here at Joe Wetzel, and Brad McVeigh again out on the mound for the Pilots. First pitch to Pataxo. Fly ball going to go to all right and out of play. 0-1.
Scoro's pretty hot right now, too. I think he had 3 hits in game 1 and 2 hits yesterday and puts in really good at-bats. And we talked about it yesterday. You know, you get your opportunity, you have success, you just stay in the lineup.
5 for 8 in this series so far. Caparis unable to stop that one from getting to the backstop. It'll be 1-1 on Pataxel. The 1-1. Pataxel swings and misses on the inside pitch. He's behind 1-2. Defense playing back for the Waves. The 1-2. Pataxel gets one, sends it into center field, and a 1-out single. The freshman from Seattle.
Yeah, great job catching a slider that was up in the zone and just banged it up the box there. Nice little single for Pataxel.
Let's give you the defensive lineup for the Waves. Out in the field, you got Quint Landis, Billy Cook, and Ryan Johnson in the outfield. Aron Modlin, Wyatt Young, John Peck, and Justin Lutz on the infield from left or right, and Joe Caparis behind the plate. He started in game 1, had game 2 off yesterday. Holcroft thought about chasing the pitch low and away. Good eye, though. It'll be 1-0. Pataxo with a decent lead over at first. This ball is going to be fouled off behind home plate. 1-1 on Holcroft. With it being Mother's Day, it's important to give them their due.
Absolutely.
Give a happy Mother's Day out to my mom, Susan Slike. And then my fiance, Erin Fisher, then her mom, Shirley Fisher, on this Mother's Day. As Holcroft fouls off this pitch, now 1-2.
And my mother, Candy, and my mother-in-law, Patty, and my beautiful wife, who's a great mother, Debbie. Happy Mother's Day.
And to all the other moms out there watching and listening, happy Mother's Day to you as Holcroft now dealing with the 1-2 against Llewellyn. Throw over to first, Pataxil back safely underneath the tag. Relatively nice day here out on the bluff, although we've got some gray clouds rolling in. Another throw over to first. Currently 59 degrees here on the bluff. Partly cloudy with 3-mile-an-hour winds. Llewellyn from the middle of the rubber. Breaking ball through the bottom of the zone, and they peel down. Holcroft did not go. Ball 2, 2-2. The redshirt freshman from Upland, California, really got things going last season. Has, I don't want to say necessarily struggled, but the ball just keeps finding certain fielders when he's making contact. And here's a rope down the right field line, but pulled foul. And bouncing into the Pepperdine bullpen. And back to 2-2 for Holcroft.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing for Holcroft is he was so crazy hot at the start of the pandemic year and had everything just so, everybody thought he was going to come in and hit 1,000, you know. And he started slow, hitting line drives at everybody, but he has literally consistently climbed every single week and just continues to get better and better.
Now hitting over 250 now at 256 on the season inside. Capris able to glove that one, and Holcroft now working with a full count.
I think it's tough on ball players when they have a big year like that and they come in with huge expectations. And he hit so many balls on the screws early, right at guys, and we talked about it. And I think it puts pressure on them, you know, to perform. And then when they don't, you know, when it doesn't land in grass, it's tough.
The full count. Pataxil's going, and that'll be ball 4 for Holcroft. So could we see another first inning run put on the board for the Pilots? They did it in the first 2 games of this series. Now Briley Knight coming to the plate, and he's the man to do it. In game 1, he had the RBI single. In game 2, he also had an RBI single to drive in a run.
Yeah, you got to like him with runners in scoring position at any time.
Yeah, he currently leads this Pilot club with 25 RBI on the season. Looked like he got a slider inside. He was able to foul off. It's 0-1. Now you got to appreciate the swagger of a young freshman like Sam Brown. Right? 3 buttons deep down, got the chain popping out.
Yeah, I think it's button down day. I noticed Briley's got his jersey buttoned down.
The 0-1. Catching the outer part of the plate for a strike. Knight now behind 0-2.
Pilots in the pinstripes today. We walked in the yard, and, you know, the pitching rotation's a little bit different than what we normally see, and you and I were trying to guess, and I made that early prediction. The pinstripes were going to see McVeigh, and my eyes
spot on.
My eyes didn't lie.
Knight laying off the high outside fastball, 1-2. And the Pilots wearing their white uniforms, the pinstripes and the purple P on the left chest. Pepperdine in their gray uniforms, Pepperdine in the blue block lettering across the chest. The orange numbers on the left lower oblique. The 1-2. Knight chased it, fouled it off behind us though. It's 1-2.
Llewellyn slider, rather than having depth, it's really wide. You know, it's a sweepy slider, but it doesn't have a lot of depth. So if you get on plane, you have a chance. Like Pataxil did it. He stayed on plane, was able to hit box one up the middle.
The 1-2 tonight. Got enough of it. Well, the dimensions here at Joe Etzel, 325 down the lines, 369 in left center, 367 in right center, and then 388 in dead center. And it looks like a long way from home, but we've seen a couple players give some drives out there. Ground ball to the right side. Lutz will field it himself, bobbles it for a second. Knight running down the line. They got him, but both runners move up the 90 feet. Holcroft up to second, Pataxel over to third. And Lutz has had a couple of plays over the last 2 games where he struggled to get that ground ball, transition it out of his hand, and get the ball to second.
My assumption from coaching in a lot of years is that he's a glove flip guy, meaning he fields the ball and he flips the ball up to grab it, and we've seen some exchange problems with it. We'll have to watch later in the game and see if that's what it is, but a lot of guys, they'll catch that ball and they want to flip it up and grab it rather than grabbing into their glove.
Sam Brown up at the plate now. Struggled yesterday. He had 4 strikeouts, went 0 for 5. Did reach on a fielder's choice back in the 3rd inning. But here he has an opportunity to drive in a few runs. Brown missing on the low pitch. It'll be 1-1. Infield playing back. Modlin off the line at third. The 1-1 to Brown. This one gloved by Llewellyn off the mound, underhands it over to first. And Brown is retired. The Pilots, they strand 2, no runs come in to score. We head to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Justin Lutz, Ryan Johnson, and Connor Bradshaw due up for the Waves when we return on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Edzo Field. Brian Slight, Corey Keir with your call, and a happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. 1-0 count to start off. Justin Lutz up at the plate, and this man has a lot of power, Corey. We saw it yesterday with a towering home run, and we've seen it all through BP as well. Here he takes a strike. It's 1-1.
Yeah, in BP today, there's a girls' dorm out in the right center field, and he hit a ball that hit off the little teeny roof on the dorm.
Strike 2 thrown to Lutz here, now 1-2. And that's well over 400 feet to get to Mei-Ling Hall. Dorm that Corey's talking about. The 1-2, and McVeigh missing outside. It's 2-2.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I told you that after the game I was going to drive out there and see how far that ball actually left the yard. I mean, there was a bunch of players out there shagging home run balls from his BP.
They got him, punched him out on a low pitch. McVeigh gets the call from the home plate umpire, and that'll bring up Ryan Johnson.
Number 15, Ryan Johnson.
Well, I don't know if you can celebrate the small victory like that with the damage that he's been doing up at the plate, but you have to be thrilled with punching him out right there.
He's definitely scary. I mean, every time he gets up, it's a scary proposition because you know if he hits, he hasn't really hit a ball soft. That's not in his game. He either hits the heck out of it or he swings and misses.
Johnson with the closed-off batting stance. Sends a fly ball into center field. Briley Knight goes to his left, now takes a few steps in. He will make the grab for the 2nd out.
The designated hitter, number 44.
Well, we've just seen
Bradshaw.
when the pitch has been elevated, Pepperdine has jumped all over it. And that's something that you would hope that either Coach Lambert or Coach Loomis talked about with the pitchers and what to focus on today, because that was really their only mistakes yesterday. Bradshaw, the DH from New Rochelle, New York, takes the first pitch strike. It's 0-1.
Yeah, it's hard to find hitters on their scouting report that says they really love balls below the knees to hit. So that's why you want to pitch there.
This one off the end of the bat will go foul. So Bradshaw already behind 0-2. Bradshaw yesterday went 0 for 4 up at the plate. Overall in the series, he's 0 for 7 with a walk. Punched him out, the second one. And the pitching staff for the Pilots taking advantage of the waves again in the early frames. We head to the bottom of the second inning. Brett Gillis, Jake Sukata, and Nick Klemp coming to the plate for the Pilots when we return on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. Brett Gillis set to lead things off for the Pilots. Was 2 for 4 in game 1, and then yesterday at the plate, even though he was on the mound, he was 1 for 3 with a 2 RBI single in the first inning. Here he squares to bunt, turns into a strike behind 0-1. The sophomore from Everett, Washington, has done some nice things in this series. We talked about his performance on the mound, but at the plate, somebody that we saw in early last year in that COVID season, got the start out in the field, was hitting a bit more, then transitioned more onto the mound. But his bat has been lively as of late. So he's working with the 0-2 count. Batting just below 300 on the season at 296. Fly ball into right field. Ryan Johnson will have to drift back. He's near the warning track, and he will make the catch on the track. And Gillis will be retired for the first out. You have to wonder if there was any type of wind that was really going on that we've seen here at the ballpark, that if it gets caught up in the wind, it could leave the ballpark. But only a 3-mile-an-hour wind today, not much of a factor. Sukata, the freshman from Honolulu, Hawaii, stepping into the box. A big 5 RBI performance in game 1 of this series. Here he takes strike 1, 0-1. Sukata yesterday went 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly and had a single in the later stages of the game. Takes an inside slider for a strike, 0-2.
Extreme inside slider.
Sukata batting in the top 20 in the conference at 306 coming into today. And he's a guy, when he gets hot, he is on. We've seen the games where he's gotten 6 hits in a single game. He did that against Pacific earlier in the season. He had 3 hits in game 1. And the more impressive part is he's not pulling the ball every single time. He uses the entire field, spraying it from left field all the way to right field.
Yeah, and he plays defense with with his hair on fire. He's just a really fun player to watch.
Behind in the count, the 1-2 coming from Llewellyn. Here's a hard shot over to second, and John Peck will snag that one right out of the air. And there's 2 away for the Pilots here in the second. Nick Klemp now comes to the plate.
Now batting the catcher, number 13, Nick Klemp.
Klemp, a sophomore from Everett, Washington, getting the start today, his 7th one of the season.
I would tell you, I'm kind of excited to see him because I haven't missed too many broadcasts, but when I do, he starts. So this is my first time really getting to bear down on him, so I'm excited to see him play.
Had a sacrifice fly in game 1 and a single as well. Here he takes ball 1. It'll be 1-0. Klemp waits on the outside pitch. It's now 2-0. Klemp with that slightly closed off batting stance, batting from the right side. Fastball on the inside part of the plate on Klemp, goes for a strike, 2-1. Now, in all your years of coaching, Corey, have you noticed more success with a balanced stance, a closed-off stance, open stance, anything like that to you? When we worked in Ridgefield, as Klemp took a ball here, it's now 3-1. We watched a guy named Steve Ramirez, and he always batted with a closed-off stance, but he hammered the right center field gap where you and I have talked about. That's usually where you win the games.
Yeah, I think it depends on the hitter. You know, everybody has their own philosophy on what they should do.
As Klemp pops this one up, it's going to go behind us and out of play. Full count, 3-2.
I think the general train of thought is to have a balanced stance, you know, in line with the pitcher, stride to the pitcher. Now, some people like to be a little open so they can get their hips through, but they're susceptible to the outside of the plate. Some people like to hook balls, and that's what he was doing. He hooked everything, so he would have a closed stance.
As Klemp works himself on with a full count walk with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Gabe Scoro.
Yeah, it's something I've thought about. You know, you don't really want to teach a kid to have as much of a close stance as he did, but he induced a lot of inside fastballs, which is exactly where he wanted them to be. And with a standard stance, he'd hook them foul. But with his stance, he'd hook them to the shortstop. And the shortstop that summer got a bunch of topspin balls, which he wasn't used to seeing. A lot of success he had that summer.
Scoro's had the hot bat since starting this series. 2 hits yesterday, 3 hits in game 1. He's 5 for 8, and make it 6 for 9 on the series with another single for Gabe Scoro. The junior from Portland, Oregon, coming through again.
Hard to take a kid out when every time he gets up, he slaps a single to the outfield. So,
and the best part about his performance right now, batting in the 9 spot, it's almost as if it's a second leadoff guy, and now you've got your leadoff man here with Chad Stevens, who is arguably the hottest bat in this lineup. Stevens flew out to right field his first time up at the plate. Gets an inside pitch for a ball. It'll be 1-0.
I love seeing Scoro have success because, like I said, he was coming off the bench a lot as a pinch hitter, which is so hard to do, and you know, not getting that opportunity to start. And then he gets a start, has success, and it just keeps building. And it's fun to see when it pays off for kids.
This one low, out through the bottom of the zone. It'll be 2-0. And right now, he's filling some big shoes out in right field with Henry Cheney still out of the lineup. They've rotated a few guys out in right field trying to fill that spot, and Scoro right now consistent at the plate and out in the field. The 2-0. Stevens, a ground ball over to Modlin at third. He'll step on the bag for the force out, and that will end the Pilots' half of the second inning. No runs come in to score. 1 walk, 1 hit. We head to the top of the third. 0-0. Quint Landis, Joe Caparis, and then back to the top of the lineup for the Waves to Wyatt Young when we return. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field, a 0-0 ball game at the moment. Brad McVeigh back out on the mound. Brian Slyke and Corey Keir with your call. Quint Landis at the plate. First pitch he sees, skies one into right field, and Gabe Scoro almost perfectly placed, barely had to move there. Maybe one half step to his right, and he'll make the catch. One away here in the third.
I could have played right field on that play. He had to move about a half a step, and that's about my range, so wasn't hit too high either, so.
And we'd like to thank everybody that's tuning in right now for tuning in on YouTube. Our normal streaming service, Stadium, is having a bit of trouble today. So again, thank you for making the switch over to YouTube. 1-0 on Joe Caparis. Caparis had the day off yesterday, but went 0 for 3 in game one with a couple of strikeouts. The off speed from McVeigh goes for a strike. It'll be 1-1. We were talking during the break, Corey, the pitching that's been going on for the Pilots, it seems like it's still affecting the Waves from yesterday. The pitch calling, the breaking balls that are coming in as McVeigh fires a fastball inside, 1-2.
Yeah, yesterday, the way Gillis approached them was with a lot of breaking balls, a lot of off speed and hitters counts, and it was really frustrating to them early in the game and got them through 6 innings. McVeigh is more attacking with the fastball, and I think they're expecting to see more soft, and they're not getting it, and that's why they're having some success early.
After that ball spiked into the dirt, it'll be 2-2. Pataxel hugging the line over at third, playing behind the bag. Sam Brown well off the line at first. No movement from the outfielders. Full count now, 3-2 on Caparis. And Caparis gets himself on with a walk. Second walk issued today by McVeigh.
Shortstop, number 2, Wyatt Young.
And Wyatt Young now coming to the plate. Young, a junior from Honolulu, Hawaii. And this is the part of the lineup that has been troublesome for the Pilots. Young 0 for 1 today. Yesterday was 0 for 3, but reached base twice after getting hit twice. Klemp will come out in front of the plate to get this one, 1-0 on Young. Yeah, as a coach, going up against the 9-hole hitter, Corey, in my experience, I've heard coaches be upset because mainly as the 9-hole hitter, here's a strike, it'll be 1-1. Somebody you should be able to get out, but instead you walked him, now you're going back to the top of the lineup. Is that something that frustrates coaches going forward?
Well, if the head coach at Columbia River is listening right now, he would say the 9-hole hitter hits 800 against us because we can never get the 9-hitter out. And we don't know why he's the 9-hitter. But, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if the pitching staff takes a deep breath or if the infielders take a deep breath. But it is my experience that sometimes the 9 guy is the most pesky guy in the lineup, and it's frustrating because obviously, you know, the guy works a walk, and that's his job, is to find a way on. I remember being a young coach and telling
here's a ball finding its way into right field. Scoro will field it. Caparis stops at second, and it's a 1-out single for Wyatt Young.
I always remember telling the bottom of the order, listen, I don't care how you get on, lean into a pitch, walk, get an error, get a single, but find a way to get on. And when you get 2 guys at the bottom of the order that will wear pitches and have quality at-bats, and, you know, a big inning always starts with the 9-hitter getting walked. It's just what I've seen as a coach. So,
well, if anybody can make this a big inning at the moment, it's Billy Cook. And he's up at the plate right now. 0 for 1, struck out looking his first time. Here's a deep shot into right center field. Briley Knight going back. It's a one-hopper off the wall. Barehands it. Throws it into Chad Stevens. Caparis scores from second. And an RBI double by Billy Cook. And the Waves are on the board. They lead 1-0. Corey, I saw as soon as it was hit, you almost threw your hands up as if we thought it was going to be gone. A long drive, though, for a double to drive in a run.
Yeah, a second look here, but his swing is just so smooth, and off the bat, I mean, yesterday he hit a similar ball, and I thought it was going to get down, and it went out of the yard, so when it was hit, I was worried it was going out of the yard. But again, It's how a big inning always starts. 9-guy, pesky guy, runs it 3-2, fouls off a bunch, walks, leadoff guy hooks a ball by, and then here you go. It's 1-0.
Well, Ron Mondlin has given a ball drive as well. Yesterday had a home run. Now he's up at the plate. And with Coach Lambert out on the mound talking things over with his infield, how do you think they try to approach this next batter coming up?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're going out for a plan here. Maybe you put this guy on and play for the double play. Maybe he's just trying to slow the game down a little bit. He doesn't have anybody up in the pen, so he's not trying to get a guy warm. Probably just an approach over the next couple hitters. I mean, it's a murderous road up there. It's like a big giant alligator pit. You know, you got to, what's the old game? Pitfall. You got to swing across and avoid those alligators. Probably telling him to be careful with this guy with the base open, and if you do walk him, it's really not as much of a problem because the double play will stay in order.
Mondlin will take strike one on the outer half of the plate, behind 0-1. Well, the Waves have scored the last 8 runs scored in this game or in this series. 7 runs coming in the 7th and 8th innings last night. Mondlin now behind 0-2. Mondlin, a senior from Irvine, California, came into today batting .271 on the season. Scary shot, line shot right into the Waves dugout. A couple of the players getting out of the way. Close call. Everybody seems to be okay, though. Looked like somebody dropped their seeds.
Shh, you're not supposed to have seeds in the ballpark.
Hey, this is the opposing team. The 0-2, time called.
That's exactly what happened. That ball come whistling in, and he was holding his bag of seeds, and they went all over the place, but they're picking them up.
The 0-2. This one's skied by Mondlin into left center field. Holcroft seems to have a beat on it. Now he's coming in to set up the throw home. Makes the catch and hits the cutoff man and Chad Stevens. A sac fly brings in Wyatt Young. And a 2-0 lead now for the Waves here in this 3rd inning.
Second baseman, number 6, John Peck.
Good baseball there, setting up to cut 3 rather than to cut home. Really no chance to get the speedy shortstop out, and you try to throw to the plate, and then Cook, who can also run, he advances. So again, the Pilots just play fundamental baseball. You know, they're not making a lot of mistakes on the coaching aspect, that's for sure.
McVay looking back at Cook, now throws first pitch breaking ball. That one hung high and outside, 1-0. Peck reached on a fielder's choice his last time up. Yesterday went 1 for 4, 3 strikeouts and a single in game 1. Went 2 for 3 with a strikeout, 2 singles, and was hit by a pitch. Here's a ground ball to the right side. Sukata ranging to his left, on the ground, up and throws. And Brown's foot stayed on the bag. Close call, almost took him off, but they do get that 3rd out. 2 runs come in to score for the Waves, and they take a 2-0 lead into the bottom of the 3rd. Due up for the Pilots, it's Ben Pataxel, Jake Holcroft, and Briley Knight when we return. Bottom of the third inning, the Pilots trail 2-0 after 2 runs come across the plate in the top of the third for the Pepperdine Waves. Ben Pataxel leading things off for the Pilots in the bottom of the third. 1 for 1 today with a single. Here he takes the inside breaking ball. It'll be 0-1. Pilots jumped over, or all over the starting pitching of the last 2 days for the Waves. Llewellyn has done a good job mixing in some pitches and keeping the Pilots off balance. It's 0-2 now.
There's been a ton of traffic. They just can't get a timely hit to score, but maybe this will be the inning.
Llewellyn has issued a couple walks, and Pataxel already has 5 of them in this series. Pataxel did not go around. It'll be 1-2. 3 walks yesterday, 2 walks in the game before. So he's had a good eye at the plate. Now working with the 1-2. Llewellyn delivers. Pataxel turns on one. Over to third, and he is retired for the first down in the third inning. And Holcroft now stepping to the plate.
Number 4, Jake Holcroft.
Holcroft walked his last time up and was left stranded at second. Modlin in at third, almost on the infield grass. The rest of the infield playing back. First pitch to Holcroft, inside for a strike, 0-1. .42 hits on the year for Holcroft. Here's the 0-1. Not in the zone for a ball. It'll be 1-1. This one bouncing, goes for another ball, 2-1. Holcroft ahead in the count. The throw from Llewellyn. Here's a fly ball into foul territory. Ranging towards the bullpen is Modlin, and he runs into the fence. It'll go for a strike, 2-2.
Nice day to watch a ball game, and obviously Mother's Day. I don't know how many moms want to come out to the ballpark, but I'm out here looking in the stands, and I see a mom just down below us. Looks like she's working on a stocking hat or something, and she's got her sons with some candy watching a ball game. I think that's kind of cool for a mom to bring their sons out on a Mother's Day to catch a ball game.
Holcroft takes the ball. It's now 3-2. It's not too hot. You know, it's not raining. It is kind of, despite the bit of overcast skies, a nice day. About 60 degrees out at the moment. Full count on Holcroft. Works himself on for his second walk of the day. And Briley Knight now comes to the plate. His last time up, grounded to Justin Lutz, who tried to turn a double play, ended up just flipping it to Llewellyn, who was covering the bag at first. Sam Brown on deck. Knight wanted that one. Just missed it, 0-1. Now we've got the sun peeking through. Finding one of the small holes between the clouds at the moment. Holcroft back safely. No movement defensively from the Waves. Knight, again, swinging through that fastball. It's going to be 0-2.
Yeah, when the sun pops out, you can really see the stripes and the AstroTurf out there on the field. And I mean, I don't think you'll find better turf in the industry than AstroTurf. And it really plays well for baseball. The 2 different heights with the brown and the beautiful green and the stripes. It always looks like a manicured grass yard.
Something I never perfected in my times of mowing the lawn. It's getting those stripes in there.
I'm pretty good at walking straight. I do it at the yard at Columbia River you got to pick a spot and just walk and let the mower kind of do its thing.
The 1-2. Another throw over to first. Holcroft back safely. Holcroft with 4 stolen bases on the season.
I mean, this yard is really a baseball coach's dream. I mean, you unlock the gate and you're ready to go. You know, there's really not much to do. I do know they do some maintenance with the pebbles around the high traffic areas.
Forgive my ignorance. What does that entail? Just rubbing them back down into the turf?
Yeah,
or?
they get a broom out there and they sweep it or bring in some more pebbles. And then there's a couple inserts. You'll see them by first base, second base, out there on the mound where they'll pull those out and put new inserts in as they get wore down. But, I mean, as far as playing surface, this is to die for.
Holcroft's going. Capper is up throwing. The tag by Young, and they got him. Holcroft tagged out. Bang, bang play. And it looked like Young got him on the left hand just as he was sliding in. Here's another look at it.
Get a second look, absolutely. I thought he got a great jump, and to be honest with you, I thought he got in there. Again, bang, bang. From the booth, he looked safe, but from 1 foot away, he was out. So I think the umpire was probably right.
Riley Knight fouls this one off of his foot, even though it stays in fair territory. We'll go back to the full count, 3-2.
Over my coaching career, I always noticed that the calls were always, I always saw them my way. I don't know why, but from the bucket.
You were always right from the dugout, right?
That's right. I never missed a strike from the dugout.
The 3-2. Knight goes down with a strikeout, and that will end the inning for the Pilots. Holcroft caught stealing. They go down in order. We'll head to the 4th. Justin Lutz, Ryan Johnson, Connor Bradshaw due up for the Waves when we return on the WCC Network.
Very happy.
Just in time to catch Justin Lutz. First pitch to him in this at-bat goes for a ball. It'll be 1-0. Or correction, it was a strike. It'll be 0-1 on Lutz. Lutz, a big swing. Dropping down to one knee. He's now 0-2. Lutz struck out looking his last time up in the second inning. And he'll go down with a strikeout here in the 4th. And a good start for McVeigh.
Right fielder, number 15, Ryan Johnson.
Ryan Johnson to the plate. Johnson takes a strike. It's 0-1.
Y'all, Lutz, he either swings and misses or he hits it a long ways. A couple strikeouts already today. Tip the hat to the Pilot pitching for that.
As McVeigh fires in another strike on Johnson. It's now 0-2. Yeah, Lutz yesterday, 2 strikeouts to go along with that home run that he had. This one gets away from McVeigh. It'll be 1-2. One out here, top of the fourth inning. A 2-0 lead for Pepperdine. Those two runs came across in the top of the third inning. Another K for McVeigh.
Designated hitter, number 44.
That's 5 strikeouts now for Brad McVeigh. Here's another solid look at it. Seemed to tail off at the end. Johnson chasing. Bradshaw up at the plate, picking up where he left off with a big empty swing. He's behind 0-1. Struck out his last time up. Pataxo playing in at third. The rest of the infield playing back. High fastball. Clem tried to frame it into the zone. No luck, though. It'll be 1-1. Bradshaw close on that one. From McVeigh, it'll be 2-1. 2 outs here, top of the fourth. Bradshaw came into today's game with a top 20 batting average in the conference as he takes another ball. It'll be 3-1. Was batting just below 300, now at 294. McVeigh behind in the count. 3-1. Fouled off into the netting. Back to a full count, 3-2. No defensive changes for the Pilots. Jake Holcroft in left, Briley Knight in center, Gabe Scoro in right. Pataxel, Stevens, Sukata, and Brown, your infield from left to right with Nick Klemp behind the plate. Full count. One hopper just over the glove of Chad Stevens. And a 2-out single for Bradshaw. Waves still in business here in the fourth as Quint Landis comes to the plate.
Now batting, the left fielder, number 11, Quint Landis.
I don't know about you, I'm just waiting for that next big league play from Stevens on the dive. We've seen a couple of them just over his glove, just under his glove. One of these plays, he's gonna make it. As McVeigh throws over to first, keeping an eye on Bradshaw. Bradshaw, perfect 8 for 8 on stolen bases this season. He's tied for 7th best in the conference. So there's good reason why McVeigh's keeping an eye on him. Quinn Landis at the plate, flew out to right field his last time up. Here he takes ball 1. It'll be 1-0. Sun coming back through the clouds again. Pataxel in at third. Sukata closer to the bag at second. McVeigh throws over to first. Not in time. Back to the 1-0 count. Capper is on deck for the Waves. McVeigh comes home with it. Landis. Fly ball into shallow right field. Jake Sukata will make the catch in shallow right and will retire the side for the Waves. 1 on with a single from Bradshaw. No runs come in to score. It's still a 2-0 lead for the Waves. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Sam Brown, Brett Gillis, and Jake Sukata all due up when we return. Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. The Pilots currently trailing 2-0 to Pepperdine. The Pilots also trying to maintain that top half of the conference standings, currently in 4th after their loss yesterday. Fell back behind San Francisco in the standings. Brown sees the first pitch, pops it up on the infield. Wyatt Young will make the call and the play at shortstop, and Brown retired. Brett Gillis to the plate. Gillis last time had warning track power into right field where it was caught. Gillis takes strike one. The 0-1 through the bottom of the zone for a ball. It'll be 1-1. Gillis, the check swing, half-hearted, goes around. It'll be 1-2. Gillis batting .286 at the moment. Has the 8 hits on 28 at-bats on the year. The 1-2. And Llewellyn got him to chase on the breaking ball away. 2 outs.
Pretty good slider. It's gotten better since the start of the game when we talked about it being sweepy, and now there's some plane to it, so it's going really wide. You'll take a look at this. It looks like it's in the middle of the zone, and it just sweeps way out of the strike zone with the depth. So the breaking ball's definitely got better for Llewellyn.
Sukata gets one high and inside. It'll be 1-0. 0 for 1, lined out to John Peck at second his last time up. Made solid contact, but unfortunately right at the second baseman. 2-0 for Sukata. Well, the Pilots took game 1 of the series 9-6 yesterday. They fell 7-5. And they're still trying to make a run here in the later half of the season. Here's a ground ball over to first. Lutz will field it himself, step on the bag, and we'll talk more about the standings when we come back. In the top of the 5th inning, due up for the Waves. It's Joe Caparis in the 9-hole, then back up to Wyatt Young and Billy Cook for the Waves when we return on the WCC Network. Top of the 5th inning as we welcome you back to Joe Etzel Field on the campus of the University of Portland. Brian Sly, Corey Keir with your Mother's Day baseball call. As Caparis takes ball 1, it'll be 1-0. Caparis lines one into left field. It's going to drop. Holcroft chasing it down. He'll cut it off just at the warning track. Rounding first, going to second, and the throw not in time. A leadoff double for Joe Caparis and the Waves to start off this 5th inning.
Really great effort by Holcroft to get to the corner. Left-hander does a glove side spin and put a really good throw into second base, but the runner was thinking double out of the box, and there was no way to get him, but Excellent effort out there in left field from Holcroft.
Well, the corner infielders now being brought in with Wyatt Young at the plate. Stevens keeping an eye on Caparis at second. Inside for a ball, 1-0.
We talked about the 9-hitter. The 9-hitter just led off the inning with the double. Like I said, they hit about 800 when I'm around.
2-0 now on Wyatt Young. Slight movement in the flag out in left center field. Again, low winds today, around 3 miles an hour. McVeigh looking back at Caparis, comes home. Check swing inside. Called the ball. It's now 3-0. Two runs on 4 hits so far for the Waves. The 3-0 gets the courtesy call. It's now 3-1. Young hitting a respectable .333. Gets an inside pitch, turns on one. Sam Brown will field the slow roller and step on the bag, 1 away. Not great contact, but it got the job done. You move the runner over to third, and now he's only 90 feet away.
Move him into that 13 ways to score position.
Now, you say that.
Here's where you're going to... We've talked about this.
We've talked about this many times.
It's 13 ways. Every coach I've ever played for, been around, said 13.
I tried to write out the ways, and we'll talk about it here in a second. The first pitch here to Billy Cook is a strike. He's behind 0-1. Cook 1 for 2 today with that RBI double in the third. He struck out looking back in the first. Here's what I've got. 13 ways to score. As McVeigh sets up from the stretch. The 0-1. This one pulled foul. It'll be 0-2. I've got a single.
Okay, that's 1. I'm going to keep
double. Triple and home run. That's 4. You get a ground out to the right side. Ground ball to the right side. Right? Sack fly, suicide squeeze, safety squeeze. You can balk to get a run in. Wild pitch, a pass ball. But I still think I'm too short. And Cook with a strikeout. You and I were talking about Cook at the plate. He's been incredibly productive here on the Bluff, but he does strike out a lot, almost 38% of the time, and McVeigh gets him for the second time today.
Yeah, I almost think that that's Pepperdine's swing. You know, they go out and find athletes that can hit the ball a long ways, and they don't care about strikeouts. When you look at their strikeout total, I mean, it would turn an old-time baseball guy over in his grave to see the amount of strikeouts that this club has, but... You know, 3-run bombs, 4. I mean, look what they did yesterday. I mean, they had 4 hits, and they were all home runs or something like that. So, and they win ball games. What did they score? 7 yesterday.
They scored 7 runs, yep.
So, you know, that's kind of the new thing. Clubs want bombs.
This one blown away. It'll be 2-0. Now, my only thing about the 13 ways to score, the only one I don't agree with myself was the ground ball to the right side. I don't know if you really count that one as a way to score. Probably not. It's not an official play. The 2-0. It's Modlin now working with a 3-0 count. Modlin has no official at-bat on the day. He walked in the first and then had a sacrifice fly that brought in a run in the third.
I know the one you're missing. A couple of them. I found it.
Yeah, I see. I figured I was missing 2. Modlin, a ground ball to the left side, backhanded by Stevens near the hole, and picked by Sam Brown over at first. And that'll end the inning.
And there's that big play you were talking about with Stevens making.
And that'll send us to the bottom of the 5th inning. They prevent a run from coming in. Due up for the Pilots, Nick Klemp, Gabe Scoro, and the man who just made the play, Chad Stevens, when we return. One more look on the WCC Network.
Orthopedic.
Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. Brian Slag, Corey Kier with your call. Nick Klemp up at the plate right now for the Pilots to lead things off in the 5th inning. The Waves lead 2-0. Brandon Llewellyn still out on the mound for the Waves. Done a great job. Only 2 hits so far through 4 innings. As Klemp fouls this off, it'll be 0-1. All right, Corey, we crunched the numbers. We found our 13 ways.
I just Googled it.
Well, we still did the research. The 1-1 now to Klemp. I wasn't off by too many. I did forget a few. The one I never would have gotten, catcher interference. Never would have thought about that one. And then I totally blanked on stolen base as an idea to get home. As Klemp, the check swing, they appeal down to first. He did not go. It'll be 2-1.
But I want to talk about catcher's interference. Yeah, the bases have to be loaded, I think, for catcher's interference.
That's what I was thinking as well.
So, I mean, theoretically, if the bases aren't loaded, it's only 12 ways to score. So that's interesting to me.
Another check swing. Didn't go. 3-1 now for Klemp. That's something we'll have to go in and research a bit more on that one.
I got to tell you, I wonder if I just don't know the catcher interference rule well enough. And if a guy's on third base and catcher interference happens, does the run automatically score because the catcher interfered?
Similar as Klemp squares one up, sends it into left field, and he's got himself a leadoff single here in the 5th inning.
Similar to a balk of what you were just going to say. So something for us to do some research on with the catcher's interference. And my assumption based on these 13 ways is maybe if there's a guy on third base and there's catcher's interference, the run should score. So I'm going to get in that rule book for this summer, pull that one out when the umpire calls catcher's interference. Say, now wait a minute here. It's one of the 13 ways, brother. And he'll say, go back to the dugout, Corey.
It's Gabe Scoro comes to the plate 1-for-1 with a single in the 2nd. He was left stranded over at first. Got an inside pitch he liked, but unable to put the barrel on the ball. 0-1. Do you think Donahue was, if he's listening, was screaming out the 13 ways before we came back?
Oh, he definitely knows it. His nickname is Encyclopedia, so he definitely knew it.
Scoro hitting .323 in his limited time up at the plate this season. Klemp back safely. Scoro is 6 for 9 at the plate in this series. As he takes ball one, it'll be 1-1. Modlin even with the bag at third. The middle infielders closer to the bag at second with Klemp on. The slider finds its way into the zone on Squirrel, 1-2.
Squirrel missed his pitch there. It was a hung slider, and he wanted to go on it, realized it wasn't a fastball, and checked it. Now he's going to get a little better slider here. He's either going to have to shoot it the other way or take it.
From the stretch, middle of the rubber. Squirrel gets enough of it. A high chopper over to Modlin at third. He was having trouble getting the transition out of his glove. Wanted to turn two, but able to get Squirrel out at first.
Yeah, pretty mature play by Modlin there. Was fiddling around in his glove with it. And,
I was going to say it, but you know.
And decided not to try to get the lead runner and went to first base. And that's a pretty mature play by the third baseman.
And the good pick by Lutz over at first to secure that out. So Chad Stevens now up at the plate, 0 for 2 today. Fielder's choice, and he flew out to right field. Did he pick up his base hit? He did. He picked it up, and Klemp, hesitant, making sure that Cook did not make the play, will be stopped at third. And Stevens picks up the single. And with one away, they've got runners on the corners now.
Third baseman, number 11, Ben Petaxel.
Petaxel 1 for 2 today, singled in the first, got stranded at third, and then in the third inning, he grounded out over to Modlin at third. With how the Pilot bats have been doing, now they've gotten 2 hits in this inning. Modlin playing back, Lutz having to keep an eye on Stevens at first as the first pitch breaking ball in there for a strike, going 1 on Petaxel. Do you try to play small ball here at all? Put down a bunt, possibly get Klemp in, cut that lead down to 1?
No, I think they're going to try to play for a big inning based on where they're at in the order and having one out already. You know, the goal here is to hit a ball to the right center gap and at least get one and hit through the middle of their order.
No arms up in either pen right now. Throw over to first, Stevens back. It's the 0-1 on Petaxel. Klemp on third, Stevens at first. Stevens got a nice lead. He too tied for 7th with Bradshaw with 8 stolen bases on the season. Here's a pitch out.
They thought he was going and they pitched out. I don't dislike the call.
Pilots trying to get back to 500. Currently at 20-21 on the year. Have a winning record in conference though. Ground ball to Lutz over at first, had trouble with it, stepped on the bag, and this one ends up in left field. Stevens pops up, he'll stay put at second. That ground ball does drive in Nick Klemp though, so 1 run scores. And Petaxel will pick up the RBI. And that ball was hit so hard, Lutz didn't make a clean play on it. Had he done that, he possibly could have had a double play. But
well, Stevens was moving pretty good. I mean, I think that he did the right job. Lutz did by just taking the out at first and trying to get. Even if he makes a perfect throw, I don't think they're getting Stevens out. And it really didn't matter. It went to the outfielder because the right field was backing it up, or left field was backing it up.
Beautiful slider right there from Llewellyn in there for a strike, 0-1.
Petaxel doing his job there and getting an RBI.
Well, what I meant by the double play was initially, had he gotten a clean play into his glove, he could have thrown to second and then gotten a throw back. But because it popped up on him, Holcroft sends this one into left field. Stevens being sent home, steps on the bag at third. The throw from the left fielder, Landis, not in time. time, Stevens, the head first slide, and we've got ourselves a tie ball game thanks to an RBI single from Jake Holcroft. Holcroft ends up at second on the throw home. Great, beautiful piece of running by Chad Stevens right there.
Yeah, and I also want to give some props to Briley Knight. We talked about it yesterday, how important that on deck hitter is. Watch, the ball squirts through the left side. Stevens has not even got to third on the play, and look at Briley Knight telling him to get down.
And you saw Knight put his hands down, down. Stevens, the head first slide. And now we're going to have a meeting on the mound. Thoughts on Llewellyn's performance so far? It seemed like he was really starting to get his command going and working for him, and now in a bit of trouble in the bottom of the fifth inning. Had the 2-run lead. Now it's a tie ball game at 2 apiece. And it looks like Llewellyn's day is going to be done.
Well, and you know, Brian, one of the things is it's a third time through. You know, the order, they see him a couple times and they start to understand what it looks like and how hot it gets on them and what the breaking ball looks like, and they put some hits together.
Well, Llewellyn's day is done, and the new man coming in is Nathan Diamond, and we'll let him get a few throws in. We'll be right back at Joe Etzel Field, a 2-2 ball game thanks to Jake Holcroft tying it up with an RBI single. We'll be back on the bluff in just a moment.
That's what he did when you raised him. That's why I love
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Now pitching for Pepperdine, number 33, Nathan Diamond. For the Pilots in the fifth inning, 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 left.
And everybody's watching her, but she's looking at you.
Leading up the 6th inning for the Waves, second baseman, number 6, John Peck.
It is.
Watching baseball game by myself.
Exactly. And the second pitch for McVay on the outer half for a strike. Counts 0-2. Well, I think it is. The first one was a strike.
Well, welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. 2-1 count currently for John Peck at the plate, with Brad McVay out on the mound. The pitching change, a quick one. The new man on the mound for Pepperdine was Nathan Diamond, and the first pitch he threw was a ground ball to short, hit by Briley Knight for the ground out. That ended the inning for the Pilots, so they tied it up at 2 apiece before we came back for the top of the 6th inning, and now currently John Peck with a 2-2 count. Peck 0 for 2 today. A fielder's choice in the first inning. And then he grounded out to Jake Sukata in the 3rd inning. As he fouls this one off into the netting, it's 2-2. Christian Peters warming up in the bullpen at the moment. Fly ball into center field. Briley Knight ranging his way into right center field, and he'll make the catch in front of the warning track. Peck is retired for the first out here in the 6th.
The first baseman, number 34, Justin Luke.
Justin Lutz now to the plate, 0 for 2 today. 1 strikeout looking, 1 strikeout swinging. In a rare moment, we'll be seeing possibly Christian Peters coming out of the bullpen. Lutz takes strike 1. It's 0-1. He's normally been their day 1 Friday night starter, but we have not seen him in this series yet. The 0-1. Lutz not chasing, and that'll even the count at 1-1.
Pilots went with Franzen in game 1, who's been just extremely hot. Have McVay, who's got a great ERA, start game 3 with a chance to win the series, and have Peters, your normal number 1, behind him. If this thing works out, it could look like a brilliant move by Coach Loomis down there, the way he rotated the pitching.
Lutz in a bit of pain after fouling that one off of himself. Seems like it went off the turf and bounced right back up into him.
He doesn't wear one of those little foul ball ankle things, and it looks like that's what he did, is foul it off of his ankle or his thigh.
The 1-2. Lutz takes ball 2. And we just got information on why Christian Peters was not starting. He's been dealing with somewhat of a foot injury. So that's why we'll be seeing him come out on the mound. Or out of the bullpen, excuse me.
I personally like my story a lot better, that Coach Loomis was really smart, moved it all.
Moved it all around. You know, he wanted the 2 strong arms going back to back with each other.
Yeah, I can imagine that, you know, based on what I've seen with Christian Peters, it didn't matter what his foot is. He wants to be involved in this and help the club win, and I think it's cool he's up or warming up.
Got him! They punched him out looking. Lutz with his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon. McVay just has his number. And with 2 away, that'll send up Ryan Johnson, who's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a fly out to center field. Another look. And it seemed like Klemp, a nice job getting that one back into the zone. Not far off the plate, but close enough to get that call.
Yeah, home plate umpire Mike Goebel, he's been a little bit wide on both sides of the plate. He's been given at least a ball on the in on the right-handers and at least 2 balls. So, you know, by this time you have to make a little bit of an adjustment knowing that with 2 strikes, he'll get you if it isn't on the plate.
Johnson taking ball 1. It'll be 1-1. Well, you talked about it with Llewellyn out on the mound. The 3rd time through the lineup gets a bit tricky. And you're really trying to make those adjustments from the first 2 times you've come up to the plate. As Johnson takes ball 2, it'll be 2-1. But Lutz with the big stick, we've seen it. It's a home run or a strikeout for the most part. The 2-1. Johnson makes contact. It looked like on the off speed. It'll be 2-2.
Yeah, I feel like he's the type of kid, he doesn't run the bases. He either walks to the dugout or jogs the bases. It's really kind of what his stats show.
You say that, one of my favorite quotes, and we'll see what happens here going forward here with the 2-2. Ground ball and finds its way into the field of play, down the 3rd baseline into the corner, and it bounces off the hitting facility back into left field, and it'll be a 2-out double for Ryan Johnson. And Holcroft all set to cut it off in the corner near the foul pole, and then it goes off the hitting facility. Ricochets back into the field of play. But as I was going to say, one of the radio shows I listened to back home, his name's Tom Waddle, who's high school teammates with Ken Griffey Jr. And Tom Waddle, he's known as not being a quick receiver. He played in the NFL, but has the stolen base record at Moeller High School. As Bradshaw takes strike 1, it'll be 0-1. And he always ragged Griffey, you know, how come you don't have that stolen base record? He goes, well, it's kind of hard to steal bases when you're sending it over the fence.
When you're jogging them.
Yeah, exactly. Runner on second, the 0-1 to Bradshaw. 2 outs, and time called. Bradshaw 1 for 2 today, singled in the 4th, was left stranded at first base, and then he struck out looking back in the 2nd inning. 7 strikeouts for McVeigh on the afternoon. Here's a shot by Bradshaw. It's a deep one. Scoro dropping back, and he'll make the catch in front of the warning track. Looked like trouble initially, but a long fly out keeps the game tied at 2 as we head to the bottom of the 2nd inning, or bottom of the 6th inning, excuse me. Sam Brown, Brett Gillis, and Jake Sukata all due up when we return. Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. Sam Brown set to lead things off here in the 6th inning. 0 for 2 today, has struggled in this series, 1 for 11 after getting the leadoff single to start off this entire series. The first pitch he sees, flares it out to left field. This one might drop, and it will in fair territory just to the right of the foul line. Brown hustling, trying to get the second, and he does. A leadoff double for Sam Brown. It's the broadcaster's jinx, but the opposite way this time. You talked about going 1 for 11. Now he gets himself a double.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it always happens. You know, you get in a little bit of a slump, which he is. I mean, he's 1 for 11 in the series, and he hits a handle ball that goes the other way and falls in the little diamond over there and gets a double. And look out in the future, because that's how it always gets going after it.
Hey, Brad, see your spot, see your spot.
Well, had a 7-game hit streak before going hitless yesterday, so now he's starting a new one today. Brett Gillis at the plate, 0 for 2. Fly out to right field, and he struck out. Here he squares to bunt, but the breaking ball back over the plate. It's 0-1. Now, we didn't give him his proper dues, as Nathan Diamond is the new man on the mound. Came in relief for the last out to get Briley Knight. 2-2 on the year, making his 10th appearance with a 3.90 ERA. Gillis fouls it back off the top of the netting, now behind 0-2. 30 innings, 13 earned runs, 24 strikeouts, and opponents are hitting .274 against him. And Diamond is a sophomore from Oak Park, Illinois, from Oak Park River Forest High School, OPRF. If you're familiar from that neck of the woods. The 0-2 to Gillis, ground ball to the right side to Peck. That'll move Sam Brown over to third. Gillis doing his job up at the plate. And Brown now only 90 feet away from scoring and possibly giving the Pilots a lead here. As Sukata steps to the plate, 0 for 2.
Number 22.
Yeah, that's one thing cool about baseball. You know, a guy hits a leadoff double and you hit a ground ball to second baseman and the entire crowd claps for you and everybody meets you at the dugout for working the ball the other way with 2 strikes and moving a guy forward. So,
well, the infield now brought in for Sukata. Sukata grounded out to second, and then he's also grounded out to Justin Lutz at first. Both balls pulled to the right side. As he fouls off the first one, he's behind 0-1. Modlin at third, Lutz at first, both of them on the infield grass. Sukata fights off the outside pitch out of play. 0-2.
Get it through, do what you do, do what you do.
The 0-2 on Sukata. Base hit gives the Pilots the lead. Good eye. It'll be 1-2 now. Brown with his lead off in foul territory. Again, Diamond trying to get Sukata to chase on an outside pitch. It's 2-2.
Watch this close, Jay. Come on now, drive it. Look at the middle.
The 2-2. Fouled off again by Sukata. Sukata, as a freshman, though, takes a lot of quality at-bats, sees a lot of pitches, as we're noticing right here. How many pitches does it take for a quality at-bat? Was it
6?
6? Okay. And he's over 6 now, back to a full count, 3-2. Can the Pilots get that timely hit? Haven't gotten it except for in the 5th inning today. And another one fouled off. This freshman steps back into the batter's box. 2 runs on 6 hits today for the Pilots. Sukata, another one fouled off.
right here is why baseball is exciting. You get a situation like this, mano-a-mano, pitcher versus hitter, big at-bat, big opportunity for a strikeout. This is the best part about baseball.
Seen over 8 pitches in this at-bat. And he worked himself on with a walk. Started out 0-2. What an at-bat for Jake Sukata.
That catcher, number 13, Nick Klemp.
Nick Klemp, who singled and came around to score in the 5th inning, now comes up to the plate. 1 for 1. He also walked in the second inning. Klemp with 4 RBI on the year. Base hit, drives in 1. Breaking ball in the zone for a strike. 0-1. The 0-1. Klemp lays down the bunt. Diamond fields it himself. Brown comes in, makes contact with the catcher, and that'll be the second out. Looked to be a safety squeeze there. It did not go well for the Pilots, and now there's 2 away. Thoughts on that call, Corey?
I don't dislike the call. I mean, they got the left-hander on the mound that falls off the mound. You know, you've got a catcher that hasn't played been in a lot of games, trying to stay out of the double play. But when you bunt that ball, you really have to make sure it goes to the first baseman and force the first baseman or force the left-hander to come all the way over. It was just too easy of a bunt.
Gabe Scoro up at the plate, 1 for 2 today. Singled in the second, and then he grounded out to third in the 5th inning. And Diamond did a good job of getting that ball to Caparis behind the plate. And they had Brown dead to rights. Beat him by a few steps. Scoro fouls off the breaking ball, 0-2.
Yeah, it's a tough one, too. It's safety squeeze there. I almost think Brown's got to come with his eyes, and when he sees that the bunt's no good, maybe has to shut it down. I didn't see if it was suicide, but I don't think it was suicide. I think he'd been a little closer had it been suicide, but yeah, the bunt's just got to go to the first baseman or away from the left-hander.
The patience from Scoro to hold off to swing on that one. It's called a ball, 1-2. We mentioned Diamond coming in replace of Brandon Llewellyn. His day, 4 2/3, giving up 5 hits, 2 runs. Both of them were unearned, with 2 strikeouts and 3 walks. Diamond inside on Scoro, 2-2. Infield playing back, not much movement from the outfield. The 2-2. And that one punks Scoro. Bases loaded now for Chad Stevens.
Hard to get that 9-hitter.
Yeah, hard to get that 9-hitter out.
I heard your little chuckle there, and I know what you were thinking because we've been talking about it all day. It's just ridiculous. The 9-hitter finds a way every time.
4 out of the 5 at-bats from the 9-hitter have gotten on base.
That makes head coaches go crazy. And then you get to deal with Chad, so.
Chad Stevens today, 1 for 3, singled and came around to score his last time. The run that he scored ended up tying this game at 2. Diamond off the plate far side, 1-0.
I mean, I'm a big Scoro fan. You know, I'm biased because he went to Lincoln and plays for a head coach that I really like, but he is such a tough out, man. He's just really tough. You want him up in those situations.
Inside off speed, no chase from Stevens. It'll be 1-1. Saw the flag moving, trying to see if there was an uptick in wind. Only a couple miles an hour. 63 degrees here on the bluff, 5-mile-an-hour winds. Overcast skies, keeping it dark. Here's a drive into left field, drop it back, and goodbye, Yabo! Grand slam, Chad Stevens!
Wow, Brian, wow. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Touch them all, Mr. Stevens. It's a 6-2 lead now for the Pilots after the grand slam.
right there is exactly why pro scouts are here all the time. He is a great baseball player, and he makes great plays when he needs to, and he gets a big grand slam home run in a big series late in the season.
Well, it's the second grand slam we've seen in this series. And did he give that one a drive or what? Out into left field, into the trees.
Happy Mother's Day, Miss Stevens.
Absolutely, what a gift.
Gift to all of us, right?
Petaxel now with the 1-0 count. And if the fans were wavering at all, they're certainly into it now. They were just up on their feet for a solid minute for Mr. Stevens. Petaxel taking a strike. It's now 1-2. The 1-2. Petaxel chasing on the pitch away, but too late. The damage already done by the Pilots here in the bottom of the 6th inning. A huge 4-run grand slam by Chad Stevens gives the Pilots a 6-2 lead. We head to the 7th inning. Quint Landis, Joe Caparis, and Wyatt Young coming up for the Waves when we return. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field. Brad McVeigh is done for the day. 6 innings, pitched 90 pitches to his name, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. The new man on the mound, Christian Peters, a 3.05 ERA with a 4-4 record, making his 11th appearance on the season. First one out of the pen. 38 innings, or excuse me, 62 innings to his name. His first pitch strike here. And he leads this team in strikeouts, got 57 of them, while opponents are hitting .233 against him. Well, it was supposed to be Quint Landis leading things off for the Waves. This pitch a ball. And now it's Charles Messino. Messino came in the middle of the game in game 1. Went 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Here's a fly ball in a center field. Briley Knight camping underneath it will make the catch with ease. And there's one out here in the 7th inning. And now coming to the plate is Joe Caparis.
Joe Caparis.
Caparis, 1 for 1, had a walk in the 3rd where he came around to score thanks to the double by Billy Cook. And then in the 5th inning, the pesky 9-hitter started everything off with a leadoff double, was left stranded over at 3rd though. Peters missing low and away, 1-0. Start off this at-bat. No call at the bottom of the zone. Now it's 2-0. Well, the Pilots scored 4 runs off of 2 hits in that last inning. They had a double, a walk, fielder's choice, hit by a pitch, and then the home run by Chad Stevens. There's a strike on Caparis, 2-1.
Yeah, I was a little worried that momentum might have shifted when they couldn't execute the safety squeeze. And then Scoro had an incredible at-bat, what kind of got the momentum back that got to Stevens, and then Stevens did what he does.
Caparis fouls it off into the glove of Klemp. Now it's 0-2. And you're in a tough spot because after that, you've got your 2 outs. Sukata was behind 0-2, and he worked himself on with a walk. That extended it to Scoro, who got hit, and then you got up to Stevens. So the patient at-bats and the great vision up at the plate, able to extend that inning. Peters working with a 3-2 count here. Top of the 7th inning, a 6-2 lead for the Pilots. Caparis gets on top of it, chops it foul, back to the full count, 3-2.
And it also helps that McVeigh had a really good start. I mean, pitched 6 innings and gave up 5 hits and only 2 runs on a pretty aggressive ball club offensively.
And the more important part, he's really kept the 2 through 5 hitters in check. And Caparis strikes out. Peters picking up his 58th K on the year.
The shortstop, number 2, Wyatt Young.
They got him. That was the 9-hitter.
Put a mark on the wall, for Pete's sake.
Wyatt Young now up at the plate. 1 for 3, singled and came around to score in the 3rd. Otherwise, grounded out both times to the right side. Once to Sukata, once to Brown. First pitch from Peters, off speed low, 1-0. Pataxa playing in at 3rd. This one hit foul, out of play, staying inside the bullpen of the Pilots. 1-1. Young was 10th in the conference in batting average at one point, batting .338, currently at .331 now. Here's a line drive right at Chad Stevens, didn't even have to move. A 1-2-3 inning for Christian Peters on the mound. Gets a strikeout, a flyout, and a line out. As we head to the bottom of the 7th inning, get up and stretch for the 7th inning stretch. It's going to be Jake Holcroft, Riley Knight, and Sam Brown when we return. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field. Chad Stevens giving the Pilots the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning with a grand slam to make it 6-2 as Jake Holcroft leads off the bottom of the 7th inning. Squared to bunt, pulled it back, called strike 1. Nathan Diamond still on the mound for the Waves. Came in relief for Brandon Llewellyn. Llewellyn inside on Holcroft, 1-1. One change defensively for the Waves. Quint Landis no longer in the game. Breaking ball, outer half of the plate. Holcroft not happy with it as he shakes his head. But Charles Messino takes over in left field. Billy Cook in center. Ryan Johnson still in right. Modlin, Young, Peck, and Lutz the infield, with Capra still behind the plate. Holcroft not chasing on the fastball away. 2-2. Skies this one into center field. Billy Cook in left center will make the catch, and one away to start off this 7th inning. Corey, you were the first person to say it after the grand slam. There's still plenty of game left to play here. And with how the 7th and 8th innings went yesterday for the Waves, you can never really count them out.
That's for sure. I mean, that's why there's no clock in baseball.
Knight pulls this one foul, 0-1. And you mentioned it yesterday on the broadcast about the no clock and how it came back and got your Columbia River team in the playoffs. 0-1. Off the plate, 1-1.
Yeah, numerous times in the inning, we were one strike away or one pop-up away or one ground ball away, and that's what's great about the game.
You know what that reminds me of more than anything is Knight sends a single right back up the middle for Billy Cook to field in center field, and a one-out single for Knight gets him his first hit of the day. Well, what that reminds me of is that World Series from about 10 years back when the Cardinals came back and won. They were down to their final strike against the Texas Rangers in the 9th inning. And I forget his first name. I want to say it's David Freese. But he had a home run and a double, both in the late innings of that game. Saved it for the Cardinals, came back for Game 7, and they ended up winning that one. And that's the ultimate, there's no time limit on baseball. Sam Brown up at the plate, takes ball 1, 1-0. Speaking of big moments for Mother's Day, though, thinking about our day in history that we usually talk about, Corey, and first person that comes to mind on Mother's, Dallas Braden threw a perfect game. At that point, I believe it was the 15th or 16th perfect game in Major League history.
Oakland A's.
With the Oakland A's, yeah, that was over the Tampa Bay Rays. They won 4-0 that day as Brown fouls it back into the netting. 1-1.
I feel like I was watching that game. It was Mother's Day, so I don't know if my wife would have been approving it. I might have been watching it on the sideline or something.
Perfect games are pretty rare in Major League Baseball, only 19 of them. As Brown fouls off another one. There is something more rarer in the game of baseball than a perfect game, though. And I told you that stat earlier. The only thing that's harder to achieve is the unassisted triple play. That's only happened 15 times in all of Major League Baseball. The 1-2. Brown's punched out.
Yeah, I can say in all my years I've never seen an unassisted triple play. I have seen a triple play before. Pretty exciting game. Westview High School versus Southridge High School in a playoff situation game, and a pretty storied baseball player named Jason Ogata with Westview was playing shortstop. And bases got loaded, and the head coach came out and said, "Hey, we're going to play the infield in." And Jason says, "No, I don't want to play the infield in, coach." And he's like, "We'll play the infield in." And he goes, "No, we're going to play him back. We're going to play the middle back." The next pitch is a line drive to Ogata. He catches, touches second, throws to first, triple play. Pretty exciting.
Get out of the inning with the bases loaded, no outs.
Yeah, pretty exciting play.
Can't say I've ever witnessed a triple play firsthand.
Jason went on to play baseball at LSU and then transferred to Oregon State and played some minor league baseball, but just a big-time name in the mid-2000s here in the Northwest.
Gillis working with a 1-0 count. Multiple throws over to first to keep an eye on Briley Knight. Knight 5 for 7. Go. The throw down, not in time, bounces into center field. Billy Cook will field that one. Knight gets the stolen base.
Yeah, I remember I was a head coach and stand there with some assistants and wondering why the heck this kid would tell the coach he wasn't going to do it. But then the minute he got the triple play, I was like, great job, son. And you know darn good well that Coach Scholl at the time, who's a great high school baseball coach, he had no problem with it once the kids came off the...
2-1 now on Gillis. Now, I've seen it a couple of times. I want to say I've seen it, just the situation where the player's trying to do something and the coach's like, no, 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 great job.
Yeah.
Like it turns out and it works out in their favor. And that definitely seems like one of those moments. The 2-1, Gillis pops it up on the right side. Lutz, Peck, and Johnson all in the same area. And Johnson will make the catch in right field. Gillis retired, Knight stranded at second. But the Pilots holding on to their 6-2 lead. We head to the 8th inning. Billy Cook leading things off, followed by Ron Modlin and John Peck when we return on the WCC Network.
Athletic Department. Cook.
Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. Top of the 8th inning. Christian Peters out on the mound, going up against Billy Cook. Cook, 1 for 3 today. A couple of strikeouts, one looking, one swinging. He does have an RBI double. First pitch he sees, turns on the inside pitch, pulls it foul in front of the dugout of the Pilots. 0-1.
Going back to that triple play we were talking between, you know, one of my recollections, 100% Coach Loomis was at that game. He was the head coach at Pacific Lutheran University, and he was recruiting a young man named Jordan Post. And I'm going to have to ask him if that's the truth, but I specifically remember seeing him at the game and maybe even talking to him at that game. So just something in my mind while we were talking.
Somebody to back up your story.
Yeah, I saw it. It's a true story.
The 1-1. Cook turns on one. Pataxel fields it low on the ground and easily across the diamond to Sam Brown, and one away here in the 8th inning. That may not seem like it, but that's a big out for the Pilots here late in the game to get Cook out.
Huge.
Ron Modlin, one official at-bat on the day. Walked in the first, a sacrifice fly in the third. In the 5th, he grounded out to Chad Stevens. Modlin takes strike 1. We talked about you noticed the energy after having that full week off and then coming into yesterday's game as Modlin swings through this one, now behind 0-2. Do you still feel that energy coming from him today, 3 games in now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, the Pilots have been so consistent this year and just doing things right, and it's paying off. It's paying off in league play, and we're seeing it today.
Infield playing back, the 0-2. They appeal down to first. Mark Roberts down there saying he did not go around. 1-2 for Modlin. Well, the Waves scored 2 runs in the 3rd inning thanks to an RBI double and a sacrifice fly. Again, Modlin not going around as they appeal down to Roberts at first. So 2-2. But since then, it's been all Pilots. They scored 2 runs in the 5th inning thanks to an RBI from Ben Pataxa on a ground ball to the right side. And then Jake Holcroft had an RBI single to tie it up, scoring Chad Stevens. Modlin goes down with a strikeout. And with 2 away, that'll send up John Peck.
Number 6, John Peck.
And then in the 6th inning, the Pilots broke out and scoring again. Only 2 hits in that inning, but it was a walk by Sukata, a fielder's choice by Klemp, and then Scoro getting hit by a pitch to load him up. Got him back to the top of the lineup to Chad Stevens, and Stevens put a ride into one into left field, ending up in the trees for a grand slam and giving the Pilots that 6-2 lead. Peck takes strike 1, it's 0-1.
You know, you don't want to say this, but I'm pretty sure the coaching staff right now is thinking in their mind, good thing his foot was sore and couldn't start on Friday, because it's a pretty nice diamond to pull out of the bullpen to pitch in late in the game against a good club.
Especially when you burned through 2 of your better arms that you have coming out of the bullpen. Morse yesterday, Allegro the day before. We thought we might see Dobmeyer because we've seen him late in games. Maybe Nygaard if you had a specific situation. But you're right, having Peters come out of the pen is a nice touch, especially here in the finale. Peck fouling it off, back to the 0-2.
Well, you got to love that he's a senior too. You know, he's playing for something, you know. The clock's ticking. There's only a few more series left of his career, so you like those guys on the field when it matters.
Peters, the senior from Centralia, Washington, gets the strikeout to end the 8th inning. We head to the bottom of the 8th. The Pilots have Sukata, Klemp, and Squirrel coming back up. Last time they came up, they all came around to score to give the Pilots the lead. We'll be right back on the WCC Network.
Geico, Les Schwab Tires, or number 22, Jake Sukata.
Jake Sukata set to lead things off for the Pilots here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 6-2 lead for Portland. It's Nathan Diamond back out on the mound in relief for the Waves, firing a fastball past Sukata. It's 0-1. Well, Peters in relief already has 3 strikeouts as Sukata takes the ball. It'll be 1-1. Sukata with the huge at-bat last inning. Started out 0-2 at the plate. Worked himself on with a walk in what was near a 10-pitch at-bat for him. Infield playing back. Maudlin about even with the bag at third. Sukata sends a fly ball out of play to our left. Back to the 1-2. You know, it's just a real shame that there's no West Coast Conference tournament this year for baseball. Sukata, ground ball up the middle. And a leadoff single for the Pilots here in the 8th inning to get things started as Nick Klempt will now come to the plate. But as I was saying, it's a bummer that there is no conference tournament this year. They decided to get rid of it, so the conference winners, just whoever is at the top when conference play is finished. Because I honestly feel like this Pilots club could make some noise if they did take those top 4 teams. They stayed in their position that they're in right now. It could have been a fun tournament. Nick Klempt laying down the bunt this time on the right side. This is what you wanted to see last time. Perfectly placed. And an infield single on a bunt for Nick Klempt. Wow.
Really good bunt.
That's what you wanted last time.
Exactly, on the safety squeeze. And, you know, I'm a big proponent of making the first baseman field the ball because it's a foot race. The second baseman is playing, you can see, super deep in the hole. He makes get that first baseman out of there, and then it turns into a foot race. Now everybody's safe.
Time for more score.
10 hits now for the Pilots after that bunt single by Nick Klempt. Maudlin. Ooh, Squirrel squares the bunt, pulls it back. It'll be 1-0, but Maudlin and Lutz both playing in front of the bag on their respective corner bases.
Yeah, 100% Squirrel's going to bunt here. I mean, and Squirrel, in my opinion, is probably one of the better bunters in the dugout. I know the high school coach that he played for values the ability to bunt, and I expect him to do his job.
There it is, a bunt down the third baseline, and Maudlin going to let this one go foul. It'll be 1-1. One of the downsides of turf, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I like what he did there. That was, I mean, in my opinion, that was a drag-a-fice. I mean, he didn't show till the ball was coming, and he bunted down the line. He's trying to bunt for a base hit on that first strike. Now, I'm pretty sure the skip will just put on, okay, let's go ahead and square early and get the job done.
Ball running a bit fast there, and there you go, talking about it. And now he squares the bunt early, puts it down, and he fouls it off.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't jinx him with all that great talk about being a bunter. I'll be honest with you, I'd give it right back to him.
You trust him that much?
I really do. I've watched him bunt, and you know, in this situation, you don't want to hit into a 2-ball. It's almost better to have a strikeout rather than a. And here's Coach Loomis going to talk to him, and what he's probably going to ask him is, "Hey, what do you want to do here, son?" And I have a feeling he's going to say, "I'm going to go ahead and bunt, Coach."
And that's a lot of faith to have in your hitter to go up there with 2 strikes when he just fouled off the last 2 bunts.
The big thing is you know, you really want to put it in the hands of the hitter. You know, hey, do you want to bunt here or do you want to go ahead and swing away? What do you want to do? And we'll see what the decision is. Coach is going to go ahead and give the signals anyway to let the runners know what's going to happen.
Runners on first and second. The corner infielders playing in front of their bags. The 1-2. Squirrel pops it up. And that'll be the infield fly rule. And Squirrel is retired.
And I will tell you, of all the things that can happen, that's probably about the best result. I mean, you don't want to hit into a 2-ball there. And, you know, if you do try to bunt and you bunt it foul, you're out. So, you know, at the end of the day, Squirrel didn't get the job done, but it's better than hitting into a 2-ball.
And we'll see if we'll have a pitching change with what Chad Stevens did to Nathan Diamond last time. Could still be ringing in his head. Gave up a grand slam to Chad Stevens that gave the Pilots the lead in the 6th inning. And we are going to have a pitching change. Nathan Diamond's day is done. So we'll be right back here at Joe Etzel Field with the new arm when we return. Runners on first and second, 1 out, and Chad Stevens come to the plate when we return. New man on the mound for the Waves is number 31, Michael Mahoney. Mahoney with a 3.86 ERA on the year, 0-1 record, making his 7th appearance. Limited innings to his name, only 4 2/3. Giving up 5 walks, 3 strikeouts. Opponents are hitting a .188 against him. As Chad Stevens comes to the plate, Nathan Diamond's day is over. 2 2/3 innings pitched, 54 balls thrown, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, and 2 strikeouts. 4 earned runs all came off of 1 swing from this man up at the plate right now, Chad Stevens. First pitch breaking ball to Stevens. It's 0-1. Stevens started out 0 for 2 on the day, and then his last 2 trips up to the plate. A single in the 5th came around to score, and then the grand slam in the 6th inning. Caparis able to glove that one. It's 1-1.
Mahoney can hit a heck of a fungo, too. We watched him in BP, man. He's hitting fly balls, and he can hit one.
I think he sent one out of the yard, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good as any coach, fungoing.
The lost start of the fungo. The 1-1. Stevens with the chase on a slider. It's 1-2.
Hit yours, Chad. Hit yours. Pitch spot.
Sukata not much of a threat to steal the base. It's only 1 for 4 on the year. Here's the 1-2. Mahoney to Stevens in the dirt. And Stevens will stop himself halfway down the first baseline with a strikeout, and now there's 2 away. Ben Pataxel coming to the plate. 1 for 4 today. 2 ground outs, a strikeout. Did have a single in the first inning. Got stranded over at third. One of those ground outs resulted in an RBI, though, for Pataxel. Bringing in the first run, driving in Nick Klemp back in the 5th inning. Pataxel working with the slightly open stance.
Come on, Ben. Drive it. Drive it, Ben.
High breaking ball above the head. It'll be 1-0. Pataxel trying to add some insurance runs. Base hit with Sukata's speed could score him. The 1-0. Pataxel turns on the inside pitch, sends it foul. It'll be 1-1. I don't know if it's the pitching that the Pilots are going up against in this series, but they struggled at the plate, making contact with the ball against San Francisco. And in this series, they've done a nice job. Here's a back pick, and they think they got him. They did. Klemp picked off behind the bag at first, and that will end the 8th inning. Pataxel, if the Pilots do come up in the 9th, he'll be the one that comes up. Justin Lutz, Ryan Johnson, and Connor Bradshaw all due up for the Waves. As they try to get back into this game, they trail by 4, 6-2. Another look at that last play on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. 6-2 lead for the Pilots. Christian Peters back out on the mound going up against Justin Lutz. Lutz 0 for 3 today with 3 strikeouts, trying to avoid the golden sombrero. 4 strikeouts in a single game. Right now he's got the hitter's count, 2-0. Klepp can't frame it back in the zone. It's 3-0.
I thought the golden sombrero was 3 strikeouts. Are you telling me it's 4?
It's 4 strikeouts.
That means I didn't have as many as I thought I did.
Yeah, right? Rewrite the record books for yourself.
That's right.
Lutz takes a strike at the knees, 3-1.
That was way better than I thought I was.
We've seen it happen twice here. Not this time, as Lutz gets himself on with a 5-pitch walk. Back-to-back games, though.
The right fielder, number 15,
Golden sombrero happened
Ryan
against
Johnson.
Santa Clara. As Ryan Johnson comes to the plate, he is 1 for 3 with a double in the 6th. He struck out in the 4th and flew out to center field in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, right now the coaches are telling the guys that guy doesn't really matter. You're in the outs game. We just got to collect outs. And your job as a pitcher is just to get the guy at the plate. The outfield's going to play deep and keep the balls in front of them for no doubles. And the key is just work on getting the out at the plate. Don't worry about the runner.
No call from the home plate umpire.
Mr. Goebel's getting a little tight here in the last inning.
The 1-1 count. Pilots holding on to that 4-run lead at the moment. Johnson fouls it off, 1-2. As home plate umpire Goebel back behind the plate. 1-2 now on Johnson. Johnson leads his team in RBI, had 40. And he'll go down with a strikeout.
Designated hitter, number 44, Connor Bradshaw.
5th strikeout now for Peters.
Really good slider on the outer half.
Has that adrenaline going right now. Doesn't seem like his foot is bothering him. It's Pataxel off the line at 3rd for Bradshaw up at the plate. Slider from Peters, unable to catch the outer half of the plate. 1-0. The 1-0. Bradshaw fouls it off. Pilots have done a great job this year. They've only lost 2 conference series so far. Spoke too soon as Bradshaw rips one into right field. Bottom of the wall. Scoro can't get to it. Now he's having trouble finding it. Bradshaw stops at 2nd. Both runners will stay put at their respective bases. And now there's runners at 2nd and 3rd with only 1 out.
Yeah, again, so what? I mean, from the Pilots dugout, you know, there's a runner on 3rd and a runner on 2nd, but they really don't matter in a 6-2 game. You just need to collect out. So Peters has got to calm himself and attack this hitter and get this hitter out. They got to record 2 more outs to win the series.
This would be a nice win for the Pilots if they can win this series. Messino taking strike 1. It'll be 0-1. Coach Loomis has 1 series win against Pepperdine in his coaching career, and that came in 2018 when the Pilots took 2 of 3 from the Waves in Malibu. Messino pops this one up on the left side. It's going to go into the bullpen. Allegro making the catch. Doesn't count for an out, though. 0-2.
Just props from his pitcher buddies in the bullpen.
The last time the Pilots took a series from Pepperdine at home, though, was 10 years ago, back in 2011. The 0-2. Check swing. They appeal down. They got him. They're saying he went. Messino with a strikeout. So 2 strikeouts in this inning now. And here's another look at it.
Number 22,
He did.
Joe Caparrot.
He went.
Peters knew it right away. And Joe Caparis coming to the plate. What could be the final out for Pepperdine here in the 9th inning. Peters behind, the 1-0 count. Something we haven't seen very much from Peters, falling behind early. He's usually so good delivering that first pitch strike. Evens up the count here, 1-1. Scoring quickly, I think Corey and I will go over it and then talk about Washington State bit of the week, and then Gonzaga, send it to break. Strike 2 on Caparis after he fouls that one off. It'll be 1-2. Infield playing back. Low pitch, no chase. 2-2 now on Caparis. Wide Young on deck if Caparis can keep the inning alive. Here's a fly ball into center field. Briley Knight drops back about 5 steps, camps himself underneath. And that will cap it off. The Pilots win the series against the Pepperdine Waves, 2-1. And starting out, Pepperdine scored 2 runs in the 3rd inning. It looked like they were keeping the ball rolling off of how yesterday's game ended, but the Pilots respond with 2 runs in the 5th, and then a grand slam by Chad Stevens is the difference in the 6th inning. And Corey, your thoughts on this series as a whole?
I mean, again, I think the coaching has been impeccable. The pitching is impeccable. And the senior leadership, I mean, having Brad Stevens have the huge, big grand slam in a big time, and then being able to bring Peters out of the pen to pitch against Murderous Row a couple times and get the win. So huge series win for the Pilots. Congratulations.
Pilots back in action on Tuesday, May 11th at Washington State. That's a 1 p.m. first pitch. Next time they're back in action here at Joe Etzel, it's Friday, 6 p.m. on the WCC Network as they take on the conference-leading Gonzaga Bulldogs. I'm Brian Slight, Corey Keir. Thank you for joining for tonight's broadcast.